Hi, I'm Lauren Hunter, founder and editor of Church Tech Today. Welcome. Today we have Sean Buchanan with Aware3. So great to have you today. We call this Today's Tech. And so we're just going to talk with Sean today. Thanks for joining us and spending a little time here on our YouTube channel to just educate people about what Aware3 does and mobile apps for churches in a nutshell. Sean, we were just talking about your title. Titles aren't so important these days, but you do a lot for Aware3, do marketing, right? Strategic initiatives.
I do.
All kinds of stuff. Writing, you're a really good writer. Do a lot of writing for your blog and your ebooks that you guys put.
Yeah, we try to resource the churches that we partner with and help educate them about the mobile space in general, as that's rapidly shifting. And it's interesting because I don't think that that's going to slow down anytime soon. So maybe a little job security as more people become mobile friendly.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I recently put together a big article on just how the space has changed a little bit with Apple and the recent guideline changes that they made for apps in their app store. Can you tell us like what Aware3's kind of perspective is on that and how you guys have changed? Maybe first tell us a little bit about what kind of app and what features are included, and then we can get into the Apple changes.
Sure. So we offer 3 different products for churches, and they can purchase those independently or in various bundles. So we offer a customized mobile app for churches, and that's things like communication with push notifications and geofencing, online giving, forms and profiles and things like that. We offer a texting product for churches, so you can text message people. They can text in keywords and get custom responses back. And then we offer online giving. So whether that's through the church's existing website, through a text, or through a mobile app, we offer various giving solutions.
That's awesome. So it's like the trifecta of giving.
Yeah, not ceremoniously the 3 in Aware3. You know, it's it worked out well that way. So not intentional, but it worked out. So
that's great.
Now we could
pause there. Right. I mean, we could pause there because, you know, I think a lot of churches are confused. I know that even I have been confused because you think about the way that online giving began with a lot of different companies. You know, they began, I used to work with a company called Service U that got bought by Active and is now part of
Ministry Brands.
Yeah. Well, but then it got sold again, I think. But so they started out doing online giving, you know, when online giving was like, that was the only option. So going through your church website, and then when mobile comes out, and then when text comes out, and then mobile kind of takes over. I've heard from other leaders that text to give maybe didn't quite work for their congregation, but you know, it's good, right? You said job security. If you have all 3 of those and they can work together, how does the giving work? Say they have a pre-existing online giving on their website, but they want to do a mobile app through you.
Sure. Well, we can bring that in. They're not required to use our giving. It's just a service that we offer if it makes more sense for them. We found that the churches that do use our online giving solutions see a 31% growth in their online giving in average. And that has to do with the ease of use of our solution because it's then consistent across platforms and types. But if they're happy with their vendor, that's okay too. And so we can just make the give button point to that. It may not be as simple of an experience as using ours, but again, if that's what their preference is, that's fine. What's interesting is I think it was Nelson Searcy that I once heard say, 15 years ago, that options are not optional. And in other words, not everybody is going to want to give in the way that you as the church finance administrator want to make it available. So today our job is to make it easier for people to express their generosity, to consider all the ways that people are connected. And 2015 was the first year that mobile browsing surpassed desktops and laptops as people's preferred way to view the web. And so that's really become why we talk about in a lot of our e-content that we live in a mobile-first world now. 77% of all Americans own a mobile device, and it's probably a quick assumption that that's millennial driven, and certainly 94% of millennials in America own a smartphone. But the fastest growing demographic, according to Business Insider magazine, is people over the age of 50. So we cannot exclude people simply by their age as to whether or not they're mobilely friendly or not.
Okay. Wow. That's those are great statistics to have memorized. Good job, Director of Marketing.
I did my job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I wonder how many mobile devices that is. 77% of Americans. So, I mean, that's quite, and
that's a lot of devices, right?
Yeah. And a lot of people have more than one device a person. You know, they have I have a smartphone, a computer is not a mobile device, a
tablet,
Kindle Fire, an iPad that's shared between people, a drawer full of old mobile phones that either don't work or got broken or upgraded or whatever.
And now my kids have mobile devices. I think we were joking before the call that we both have middle schoolers, and it's like that's kind of a rite of passage now, is that a middle schooler, when you turn 13, it's like, oh, you're allowed to have a Facebook account. And by the way, Dad, where's my iPhone? And so,
my iPhone 10. Yeah, I'm going to take out a mortgage on the house to get all the kids outvoted with their outfit.
I don't think it's a right. I think it's a privilege, but for our kids.
I preach used devices for children.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I get used devices on gazelle.com and bring a no contract plan. But yes, I think that this is total soapbox mom moment, right?
That's right.
But, when you can earn enough money to buy a $500, $600 phone, that's the point at which you get a $506 phone. Not any time before that. My son would come home from school and be like, Mom, my friend dropped his $800, iPhone 6 in the gutter on the way to school. I'm like, and that would be why.
That's a lot of mowed lawns or babysitting. So
totally.
Well, I know you asked about the Apple changes, so I want to address that. We do have a blog that goes into the full details of that. So if you go to aware3.com, and that's the word aware, the number 3.com, you can click on the blog and scroll down for that. But the short version is that earlier this year, Apple released some updated guidelines in Section 4. And those were really about design as a whole. And the intention from Apple was that they wanted to eliminate copycat apps. So there were a lot of apps that were just 16 different versions of Angry Birds. And so they were trying to declutter the App Store, have less copycats going around. And so at first, app generation companies like Aware3, Good Barber, all the other competitors in our space like us, all read that and kind of assumed that was aimed at the copycat apps, not app generation, which for those aren't familiar with the term app generation, it's kind of like WordPress for apps. Like there's a templating type of process. It's still a branded or customized app, but it was generated in the same fashion that you might create your own website using a WordPress template. Well, Apple decided that no, actually we do mean those app generations as well. And we had been kind of following that news and aware that the interpretations were somewhat vague. And Apple began with some of the largest companies, tens of thousands of apps in the App Store, and began working their way down the list until they got to the point that everyone that does it that way is now affected. So the new way that will work is what's called a container app. So what that means is each company will produce their own app. And so we have some really amazing developers that responded very quickly. As we were watching this news, we kind of had a plan, and they were able to release that plan within days. And we have a solution out there called Church On. So if you go to the app stores, Church On, you can download that. And then as a congregant at a church, you would get the Church On app on your phone, and then you would load your church's branded or customized content. So you still have the customization of content, features, and things like that for each different church. But rather than having to go to the App Store and typing in First Baptist and finding 200 apps to choose from, our solution uses geolocation services and short codes. That's it, right? There you go. And allows you to find your particular church actually faster. So while I think that a lot of churches might lament and be disappointed by the fact that they no longer can have their logo, their icon in the App Store, I appreciate that, but there's actually a lot of positive changes as well. And one of those is not just geolocation for finding your church's specific First Baptist, or for, fill in the blank. But also the fact that now what we do is when we release a new feature, or when we release a new update to our app, it goes out instantly to all of them rather than waiting for Apple to approve each of those changes. So it's a much faster updating experience and a much faster content experience for our church partners.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's one of the biggest pluses to all these changes. Does it simplify the process on the development side as well? Like you're just pushing all the features to every site all at once?
Yep, it sure does. So it makes it smoother all around. So not only can we push them out quicker, but we can release things quicker as well. And we have a part of our blog you can go look at and see a list of those. We post the list of recent changes, and pretty much every week we're coming up with something new to offer churches. So that's a big advantage in this process as well. And all of us are in Apple's court, their rules, right? And so they get to make those up. And as one more note that probably your listeners might find interesting is that a common question has been, well, I already have a branded app. Is that going to have to change? And as far as we currently understand the Apple rules, the answer is no, you own that. It's grandfathered in. If you're being told something different by your current app provider, you can transfer that to another app provider like Aware3 or someone else. And so if you're unsure, we're glad to have a conversation. Even if you're not interested in Aware3, we're glad to answer your questions about that. So,
well, that's great. Well, Sean, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate your expertise. I'll put some of the links we talked about. I'll put those in the show notes below the video. So if you're watching this and you want to link to the in-depth Apple article that we posted up to Church Tech Today a couple of weeks ago, I'll put that link in there, and then a link to the blog article that you talked about from your end, and a link to Church On as well. We'll put that in.
Cool. So, all right. Well, thanks for having me. I sure appreciate your time.
Yep. You're welcome. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.